The courtroom was unusually quiet that morning. The wooden benches creaked softly as people shifted in their seats, waiting. A young mother clutched her purse tightly. An old man sat with his head bowed. A police officer stood near the wall, calm but alert. Above them all, the American flag hung still, watching silently as it had for decades. Precisely 9 a.m., the bailiff's voice echoed through the room. All rise. Everyone stood as Judge Frank Caprio entered the courtroom. He walked slowly, carefully, his expression calm and thoughtful. He wasn't intimidating, nor did he try to be. His presence didn't demand fear. It invited trust. He took his seat, adjusted his glasses, and looked around the room. To him, this wasn't just a list of cases. It was a room full of human stories. Good morning, everyone, he said warmly. Please be seated. The first few cases were routine: parking violations, expired registrations, minor traffic offences. Judge Caprio listened patiently, asked simple questions, and resolved each case fairly. But as the morning went on, the atmosphere subtly changed. The bailiff called the next case, case number 4179. Maria Alvarez. A woman in her early 30s stepped forward nervously. She wore a faded coat and held a stack of papers in her trembling hands. Her eyes darted around the courtroom, as if she expected the walls themselves to accuse her. Judge Caprio looked at her gently. Good morning, Ms. Alvarez. Good morning, Your Honor, she replied softly. You're charged with failure to pay multiple parking citations totaling $1,200, the judge said, reading from a file. Is that correct? Maria swallowed hard. Yes, Your Honor. Tell me what's going on, he said, closing the file and looking directly at her. Maria hesitated. Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't ignore them on purpose, she said. I just couldn't pay. The judge leaned forward slightly. Why not? She took a deep breath. I'm a single mother. I have 2 children, ages 6 and 9. Their father left 3 years ago. I work 2 jobs. One cleaning offices at night, and one at a grocery store during the day. The courtroom was silent now. Every ear was listening. My car is old, she continued. Sometimes I park where I shouldn't because I'm late picking up my kids or rushing to work. I kept telling myself I'd pay the tickets when things got better. She paused, her voice breaking, but things never got better. Judge Caprio nodded slowly. Have you ever been in trouble with the law before? No, Your Honor. Never. Do you support your children alone? Yes. Do you receive any assistance? Only food stamps, she said quietly. The judge looked at the stack of papers in her hands. What are those? She held them up. Medical bills. My son has asthma. Last year he was hospitalized twice. Judge Caprio removed his glasses and rubbed his eyes briefly. Not in frustration, but in reflection. Ms. Alvarez, he said gently, do you consider yourself a bad person? Her eyes widened. No, Your Honor. I try my best. I believe you, he said. He sat back and glanced at the officer who had issued most of the citations. Officer, did Ms. Alvarez ever show disrespect or cause trouble during these stops? No, Your Honor, the officer replied. She was always polite. Judge Caprio nodded. Ms. Alvarez, the law exists to create order, not to crush people who are already struggling, he said. Justice must have a heart. The courtroom leaned in. I'm dismissing all your fines, he said firmly. Maria gasped. You don't owe the court anything, he continued. But I do want you to promise me one thing. Yes, anything, she said through tears. Promise me you'll keep doing your best for those kids. I promise, she sobbed. The judge smiled. You're doing more than enough. Case dismissed. The courtroom erupted in quiet murmurs. Maria covered her face, crying openly now, not from shame, but relief. She whispered thank you again and again as she left the stand. Judge Caprio watched her go, his expression thoughtful. The bailiff cleared his throat. Next case. James O'Connor. A tall, thin man in his late 60s approached. His clothes were clean but worn. His hand shook slightly as he leaned on a cane. Good morning, sir, Judge Caprio said kindly. How are you today? I've been better, Your Honor, James replied honestly. You're charged with driving with an expired license and unpaid registration, the judge said. What happened? James sighed deeply. I didn't even know it was expired, he said. I stopped driving for a while. Why? My wife passed away last year, James said quietly. Cancer. A wave of sympathy washed through the room. She handled all the paperwork, he continued. After she died, I kind of lost track of everything. Judge Caprio lowered his voice. I'm sorry for your loss. Thank you, Your Honor. Are you currently employed? No. I'm retired. Living on Social Security. Do you have family nearby? My daughter lives 2 states away, James said. She visits when she can. The judge studied him for a moment. Why were you driving that day? James swallowed. I was going to the cemetery, he said. It was her birthday. The room fell completely silent. Judge Caprio closed the file slowly. Mr. O'Connor, he said, grief is a heavy burden. The law must recognize when a person needs help, not punishment. He looked at the clerk. I'm dismissing the charges, he said. And I want the clerk to help Mr. O'Connor renew his license at no cost. James's eyes filled with tears. Thank you, Your Honor, he whispered. You don't know what this means to me. I think I do, the judge replied softly. James walked away. The courtroom felt different now. Warmer. Human, but not every case was so simple. The bailiff called the next name, Darnell Brooks. A young man in his early 20s stepped forward. He wore a hoodie and avoided eye contact. His record showed multiple offenses: trespassing, shoplifting, unpaid fines. Judge Caprio looked at the file carefully. Mr. Brooks, he said, you've been in this courtroom before. Yes, sir, Darnell muttered. You're charged with disorderly conduct and failure to appear in court, the judge said. Why didn't you show up last time? Darnell shrugged. Didn't have a ride. That's not a good enough answer, the judge said calmly. Court dates are serious. Darnell clenched his jaw. Judge Caprio leaned forward. Let me ask you something, he said. How old were you when your father left? Darnell looked up, surprised. What? How old were you? I was 8, he said quietly. And your mother? She works nights. Always has. The judge nodded slowly. School. I dropped out. Why? Had to help pay bills, Darnell said. Started working odd jobs. Judge Caprio was silent for a long moment. Mr. Brooks, he said finally, you're not a bad person. But you're heading down a bad road. Darnell said nothing. I could fine you. I could jail you, the judge continued. But that won't fix the problem. He looked directly at Darnell. What do you want to do with your life? Darnell hesitated. No one had ever asked him that in a courtroom. I want to do better, he said quietly. Do better how? Get a real job. Maybe go back to school. Judge Caprio nodded. I'm going to give you a chance, he said. I'm dismissing the fines. But I'm ordering you to enroll in a job training program. If you don't, you'll be back here, and next time, the outcome will be different. Darnell's eyes widened. Yes, sir, he said quickly. Don't waste this opportunity, the judge said firmly. Not everyone gets one. As Darnell left the stand, something had changed in his posture. He stood a little straighter. The courtroom session ended an hour later. As Judge Caprio gathered his papers, a young law student sitting in the back approached him. Your Honor, she said nervously, may I ask you a question? Of course, he replied. Why are you so lenient? She asked. Don't you worry people will take advantage? Judge Caprio smiled gently. Justice is not about being lenient or harsh, he said. It's about being fair. He paused. When someone stands before me, I don't just see a case number. I see a human being with a story. He looked back at the now empty courtroom. If the law has no compassion, he said, then it becomes cruelty. And cruelty has no place in justice. The student nodded, deeply moved. Outside the courthouse, Maria hugged her children tightly. James placed flowers on his wife's grave. Darnell filled out a job application for the first time in years, and inside that quiet courtroom, a simple truth remained. Justice, when guided by kindness, can change lives, not with anger, not with fear, but with understanding, and that is the true power of the gavel.